And you got to believe. You got to believe your life's not your own. You got to believe you don't even have those kind of options. You know, people say, people are sick. I've pastored, man. I'm pretty aggressive. People are sick. I understand. I watched my mom suffer for 40 years, Pastor. But people say, well, I don't think they want to be healed. I think they just want to go home. That's something we say all the time in church. And I'm thinking, I don't think they have that option. Like, if they were healed in a minute, like right now, of course they'd want to be healed. The only reason they feel that way is because they've suffered. So the suffering is deciding our motive. And because we have sympathy, we're going, oh, let them just go home. But if they were healed right now, that would be amazing, and they'd do cartwheels. So the only reason they want to just go home is because they're laying in the middle of the suffering. Because we get moved by the suffering, we think it's greater compassion for them to just go home. So we teach this stuff, and anything else is offensive, and people have their rights. And I don't know why you have your rights. You denied yourself. You should be seeking first the kingdom of God. Are you with me? I watched my mama suffer. Wasn't fun. It's my mama. I never saw her lose her disposition or countenance. She shined. And there was more people than they can find to park up that driveway to her little graveside funeral. Made me cry. So many people came to a lady's funeral that didn't get out of bed for the last 15 years of her life. They just came to honor a woman that they never met anyone like, that didn't know how to complain, that smiled every time you saw her. And was the sweetest thing you've ever met in your life. And tubes were feeding her, and tubes were going to the bathroom for her. And people had to change her pants and clothes and wash her for years. Embarrassing, humbling. But you couldn't find her frowning. You couldn't walk in a room and see her cursing the disease and I'm so sick and tired of laying in this bed. You couldn't find her having one moment of that. She taught me something. She taught me to never let what you're going through decide who you are, because he's a higher truth. And you're on the earth for one reason, to shine. And if you're complaining, you ain't shining. And if it's all about you, you ain't shining. And she settled in her heart, I am a woman of God way before I'm an MS patient. I am a woman of God first. Yes, I'm fighting MS, but I'm a woman of God. She's not in denial. What? I'm not sick. No, she knew she had MS in her body, but she knew she had Jesus in her heart. And ain't nobody couldn't notice it. Do you know there was 2 doctors standing at her funeral? There were several nursing staffs and home visiting nurses and nurses from a hospital at her funeral. They don't have the schedule to go to their patients' funerals. Patients die daily. They don't go to their funerals normally. To have a whole assemblance of medical workers at one woman's funeral, that is a loud statement. And I had the microphone because I did Mom's funeral. So I blew a pretty loud trumpet. I had all of them crying in less than 2 minutes. The ladies are so easy. I said, I want to thank you on behalf of our family for being here for Mother's Memorial, where we're going to remember and honor a woman. I said, oh my goodness, hey, doctor, oh my goodness, girls. And they're all like, I said, I know why you're all here. You have never met a woman like this in your life. I toasted them in minutes. Stuck them about 3 or 4 times where they moaned. And then told them that they believed she was an enigma, 1 in a million, and they ought to come and honor her. But I want to tell you, it's what we're all called to be. And then I preached truth and got on selfishness and said we ought to let her life be a living example and an epistle, not something we remember and honor, something we pattern. And I just took it to reproduction and multiplication. The senior doctor of city doctors, the head doctor of the city doctors, was at her funeral. He does not have that schedule. He comes up to me crying. He said, that was so beautiful and powerful for your mother. He said, and man, did you get me thinking on some self-centered things. Grabbed my shoulders and was emotional and patted me. He didn't know what to do, and I just wanted to hold him. And he cried a little, and I said, yeah, he said, great man. Oh my gosh, I'm moved. And I said, come here, man. He just laid on me, and we just held. And he shook and cried. Mom helped do that. Way to go, Mama. She wasn't a normal patient. She didn't have a normal view. She died to herself. She didn't take MS personal. She took the call of God personal. She wasn't a patient. She was a daughter. And when you met her, oh, you saw the MS, but you didn't see it because you saw her. And when you saw her, you saw something very special called him. I promise you, never met anyone like my mother. She taught me a lot. That legacy is living on. I'm not going to let anything matter more. You've heard me preach it if you watch me on YouTube. Where do you think I got that revelation? Letting anything matter more than what matters most. Don't you ever allow yourself to become what you're going through. You become what he went through so you can rightly face what you're going through. What you're going through doesn't even have to change. You just have to make sure you don't let it change you. And the whole time you're writing history and legacy and storing fruits, sowing seeds and being an example. Are you all with me? Believing, so important. Watch. Is Mama going to live that way if she doesn't wholeheartedly believe this stuff? Let's get all in and just set our heart to his word. And even if you feel like you're not believing, just honor his word and say, I ain't changing my mind. Because sometimes we even talk ourselves, well, am I really believing? You know what I'm saying? Your heart's so sincere, you're looking to grow, you're spending time in God, and at the same time you're questioning yourself, the sincerity of your heart, am I really changing? It's like we are so sometimes clashing with where we're going. It's just good to just say, thank you for where you're taking me. I would say this stuff. I have a greater confidence in you keeping me than me making a mistake. You love me. You proved that through the cross. I'm going to run hard. You keep me on track. Kick me in the butt if you have to because I know you love me. But let me stay in your purpose. I'm running hard. And that's how I would talk to the Lord. He never told me, slow down, boy. Whoa, back up. Whoa, little overzealous. Whoa, whoa. Heal.